Hi there, dear guys and girls, and great to interact once again. I'm Petra for all the new subscribers. Thanks again for subscribing to the channel and welcome on board. Today I wanted to speak on narcissistic leadership. Now, how did I get to this topic? I was just pondering about how I grew up and, the different interactions with people and why I had to experience this narcissistic abuse, what I learned from it, just all these, this is my thought process most of the time, is that all these ideas are going through my head and I'm just sort of having this conversation with myself. And then I start to jot down stuff. And so this is how this topic came about. Now, I grew up in the Pentecostal church. My father was a preacher, and I also have a very large family. So I have like 8 aunts and 9 uncles, and they each have 4.5 children, and their children have their children. So we have a huge family group, which is spread over the whole of the world. And due to such a large family group, there are, I was able to experience different kinds of religions. And so you have Buddhism, you have Jehovah's Witnesses, you have Pentecostals, Catholics, Muslims. We have such a colorful variety of religions in our family group. And this has also allowed me to experience the way leaders in religious groups interact, and not only in religious groups but also in coaching. That has also been my experience. So once again, I try and speak only from experience. I had experience with the religious groups. I've had experience with coaching, with different coaching co-workers. So because I was allowed into these groups, I could, you sort of study. I like to study people, to learn about them and to learn about their backgrounds and what motivates them. And of course, what is also meshed into those topics, which are very important topics to me, coaching and religion, is also the 2 sides of everything. So you, of course, have the empaths and you have the narcissists. So when I grew up in the Pentecostal church, when we first started out, we were part of a huge congregation, these huge churches. And I found at a young age, I sort of awakened to this fact when I was about 14, is that the preachers were very, very prone to indoctrinating their congregation. So a lot of indoctrination going on, and it got to the point where I felt, I couldn't put it into words at such a young age, but I felt that you were not allowed to think for yourself, because this is the way it had to be done, and if you didn't do it that way, then you would go to, you would burn in hell. And if you did do it a certain way, the indoctrination way, then you would go to heaven. So this was just my child. This is where I thought of these different aspects of religion when I was a child. Now, as a grown woman, I can see how this all sort of comes into the play of narcissistic leadership. So when I was 16, I told my parents that I wanted to have no more part of the church, that I wanted to leave because it did not sit well with me. So I trusted my gut instinct in that as well. And I wanted to break away because I found that there was no room for individuals to speak their mind, speak their opinion, give their different views on certain Bible topics. So I'm not saying that Bible topics are wrong. So please don't get me wrong there. I'm just saying that instead of there being room for others to express their opinions and to maybe see certain stories, religious stories, in a different light from their own perspective, there was no room for this. There was only room for the indoctrination by narcissistic leaders. So I broke away from church when I was 16. My father, who is, or who was, he's sadly not with us anymore, but my father was an empath, that I know for sure. And at some point, he also realized that this was not a good environment for his family to be in. So he broke away from the church as well, and he started his own small group. And it always remained very small, very intimate. And that is where he sort of fell into his soft place. So having said all of that, as I grew up, of course, and I decided that I wanted to be a coach, I didn't know which aspect of it, but I was willing to learn everything about coaching, and I just sort of dove into the whole world of coaching. And also there I could see a lot of narcissism going on, and I didn't agree with a lot of things that were going on. I didn't agree with certain views, and I noticed that if I voiced these opinions, then they would be held to pay from these coaches who proclaim to or preach love and joy and good to all humanity, but their action or their words did not match their actions. So very often they would preach one thing, but they would not practice it. And so these are, I try to speak from a place of experience. So with me, the experience is from religion, from the churches, from the coaching world or branch, and where this sort of narcissistic leadership comes into play. So narcissists only wish to interact with others from a position of superiority and or authority. They do not wish to interact with you on an equal level because, of course, in the narcissist's mind, they are superior to anything and everyone else. So they are only interested in themselves, and they prioritize themselves at the expense of their group members. So what do I mean by this? Narcissists are very appealing to, in the case of preaching and coaching, they are very appealing to their group, to the people who will end up following them, because they have this sort of charisma. They know how to seduce the group by way of words. They are very good at speaking and using words to draw people in. Now, this is the same when you are interacting with a narcissist, of course, on a one-on-one level, in a friendship, in a relationship. But I think they have more power, bad power, when interacting with very large groups and very large congregations. So they will lure you in. They will go into the seducing phase, the love bombing phase, where they bring you into their churches, bring you into their coaching projects. And you will find that if someone stands up in these groups and they voice their own opinion and say, I don't agree with you on certain subjects, that they will be met with narcissistic rage, as so many of you know. But this also happens in the workplace with coaches and, of course, with preachers. So you will find that they are very arrogant, very dominant, and it will also be done in a very covert way, because otherwise you would not be a member of their church or of their coaching companies or groups. They will not stand for an argumentative person in this group. And as I just said, they do not practice what they preach. So that is another warning sign of, of dealing probably with a narcissist. So they get off on the adoration from the group. And this is very interesting because what often happens is that they will claim to help you to find peace on the inside, to find joy, to find God, if we're speaking of churches. But they will also there are also strings attached there. Because if you don't go along with their talkings and their preachings, then they will, of course, say that if you do not follow, you will go to hell. you will burn in hell. And the same thing with the, with other professions, with teachers, lecturers, with coaches. If you do not abide by their rules, there will be hell to pay. So, and you will see this. I've seen it oftentimes where, someone stood up and dared to voice an opinion. This was when I was going through my training as a coach. Someone stood up, spoke their opinion, another one stood up and spoke their opinion, and this was just not tolerated by the one who was giving the training. So, of course, this is not right, because when you apply to train for this profession, then of course there should be very much room to voice your own opinion, to ask certain questions, to get into a debate about certain things. It is not just one way. There are very many ways on which to find, how would I say it, on which to find a collective way. So, I mean, you've got to understand, when you are, in a church, in a teaching environment, in a coaching environment, you have all these different varieties of people who are coming in to learn from you, but they are bringing their life experience, they are bringing their beliefs, they are bringing their perspective on things, and what is really happening is that they want to share and find some collective ground that they can meet on. But you will find that with a narcissistic leader, this will be totally shut down. You will not be given the opportunity to engage in a debate with them. They will just shut it down, because it is, of course, their way or the highway. So what usually happens is that these narcissistic leaders will set you up for success. And once you have reached that level of success, then they will take credit for it. Now, isn't that funny? That they will always want to take credit for your success. And if you ever dare go against that and say, look, I put in my 2 cents as well, I did my utmost, I gave everything of myself in order to reach or achieve certain successes in my life, they will not like to hear this, because they take credit for every ounce of success where they may be involved in your life at that point. They will take credit for it. So this is another red flag of, how narcissist leaders operate. And I believe, leadership is actually, yes, you can gather these people around you, people who are interested in your teachings or interested in your views on religion or life or coaching or whatever the case may be. You can gather them around you and you take them with you. So it is a very collective success. And that is, to me, the true definition of leadership, is that you say, come on, let's go and do it. Let us reach this level of success. And when you are involved with a narcissistic leader, you will find that they will once again put themselves on a pedestal, have their congregation or their following under them, and they will show you how to reach the success. So it's not them being involved with you. It's not come along, that sort of come along, let's do this together mentality. It is more I will teach you, I will set you on the right path in your life. And this, to me, is not leadership. This is dominance. This is manipulating or coercing or intimidating someone into doing certain things that the narcissist may think is successful and is a way of being a good leader. But there is nothing positive about that. That is not true leadership. That is manipulation and indoctrination. So, when you might be part of a group of whether it is a church group or a teaching group, whatever group there may be, just be warned that just look out for those warning signs, whether you are dealing with a narcissistic leader or not. And I find in these groups where you at some point you've gathered all this experience yourself in interacting with a narcissist. So when you are part of these groups that I just mentioned, it will be easier for you to detect when you are dealing with a narcissistic leader. And another thing in this is trust your intuition. When you feel that something is not right, when you feel that what they are saying is not authentic, it is not done or said from a place of integrity, that is a warning sign. Trust your intuition. Remove yourself from these groups. And you will find when one person stands up to them, the others will usually follow, because then a lot of people are afraid to follow their intuition in these kinds of situations. But, I always say be a warrior for truth. Always, and the truth is not something you have to look for. The truth is something that it is a feeling, it is your intuition. The truth will always be the right way to go. When you feel that something is not right, that is the truth. Believe that it is not right, and remove yourself from these situations, whether it is a church group or once again, I'm repeating myself here, but whatever group you may be in, just be warned about these kinds of narcissistic leaders, because they are not always, or they are never meaning well for you. They are just there for their own benefit, and they are using you as part of this mass supply. So I hope that was, I hope that shed some light on certain things. I'm very interested to know how you, how you deal with this sort of thing. If you have noticed it in your church, in your community, in whatever field you may be in, where you are with a leader, that you are following a leader. I think it's very important to share these stories, because it's all knowledge. And knowledge is what we need to be able to armor ourselves against this kind of very covert abuse. Thanks again for watching today, guys and girls, and speak to you all very soon. Bye for now. Have a great weekend. Bye.